clear of the closing doors, please.
All right, here we go. Subway Sports Talk. My name is Peter Kennedy, and I am your host. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning into SST on Apple Podcasts app, Spotify, and on YouTube. Joining me today is nobody, because it's a solo podcast, just me right here with you for a few moments, because I want to talk about the New York Knicks. Because don't look now. The New York Knicks are a game out of second place, behind the Boston Celtics. The Cleveland Cavaliers are starting to look a little bit more pedestrian on a day-to-day basis, and the Knicks have now rattled off 4 wins in a row, are clicking on many cylinders. And if you watch the game Monday night against the Memphis Grizzlies, it's only right for you to have started to chuckle in that second half, seeing how well they played and how everything worked and everything clicked and everybody ate. And that is going to be the key for this team. A lot is made of the starters. A lot is made of their 2 all-star starters in Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. But it is increasingly obvious every single time that they step on the floor that the more they move the ball, the more that everybody eats, the more that this entire team eats. There's a few things I want to touch on. But before we dive deep into the New York Knicks at large, I'll just mention the NFL playoffs that just happened. But first, I'll say Subway Sports Talk is on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, also on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe. And I appreciate y'all because we're getting some new subscribers over on the YouTube, which I love to see. We're getting new subscribers on Spotify, which I love to see. New followers on socials at Subway Sports Talk, which is amazing. And the engagement has just been beautiful. I caught a lot of crap on my TikTok today, which was fun because I put out a video that I thought was pretty simple, talking about the Kansas City Chiefs making it to another Super Bowl. Because this is getting ridiculous, right? And when I say this is getting ridiculous, you might be thinking, I agree. How are we seeing this team back in the Super Bowl? This is ridiculous. I'm bored. I'm over it. I don't want to see it anymore. That's not the ridiculous that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ridiculous history that's being made. Patrick Mahomes, since stepping foot into the NFL and taking that 1-year hiatus of learning behind Alex Smith and Andy Reid, has done nothing but be successful. He's never not made it to the conference championship. This is his 4th Super Bowl that he's made it to, and 3rd in a row. A chance to three-peat. He's made it 7 consecutive years to the conference championship. That's ridiculous, right? And I understand that people are pissed because they wanted something new. I understand that people don't want to see the same team win again. And they're even more pissed because on the other side is the Philadelphia Eagles, who aren't exactly loved outside of Eastern Pennsylvania. So I understand why you're mad, but I do think it's important to note the other side of the story, where we're watching history. And I put the TikTok out, put it out there at Subway Sports Talk on TikTok, and people tell me, you must be a Chiefs fan. You just don't get it. How can you say that when there's an asterisk on all their wins because of the referees? And to that, it's pretty simple to me. For one, I wasn't rooting for the Chiefs on Sunday. I bet on the Buffalo Bills. I wanted to see Josh Allen get a win over Mahomes in the playoffs. I wanted to see the Bills and Josh Allen in the Super Bowl. That would have been exciting. The great thing about the NFL, as fans, it's usually a win-win. Because no matter what are we doing? We're watching. And to all the people out there pissed in my comments on TikTok, saying this sucks and they hate it, don't watch. I challenge you. Go ahead. You hate it so much? Prove it. Because everyone wants to sit here and complain and say, oh, the Eagles, what are they just going to tush push all the way to the end zone every time? No, maybe they'll use it a little bit. Is it annoying? Yeah, it's absolutely annoying. But guess what we're going to do? We're going to sit there on our couches, at the bars, at the restaurants on Super Bowl Sunday with our chicken wings and our beer and have a grand old time. Because one thing you can say about the Chiefs games, pretty dramatic generally. And what can you say about the Philadelphia Eagles? They're very talented and have been playing damn good football. So it's a win-win if you ask me. But if I ask you, you might say something different. So again, back to the Kansas City Chiefs. Go ahead and point out the referees all you want. Go ahead and talk to me about how lucky they are and how they don't deserve it and how it's not fun. And I'll go ahead and ask you some questions. First of all, pretty simple. Do you not think that this team is ultra talented and that their talent and their situational football and awareness and their toughness and their grit, do you think that that doesn't play a role in how they've gotten to 3 Super Bowls in a row and 4 out of 6? Do you think so? Because I happen to think they're pretty talented. I happen to think that this is a team that built itself in the perfect way, in a way that we wish all of our favorite teams did. They found a quarterback, and yes, they struck gold with Patrick Mahomes, because I think we could all agree on that, even though you're trying to take it away from him. I get it. It's what happens when you get to the top of the mountain. They found the quarterback, and what they decide to do? Build the trenches. What do? Pay Chris Jones. Took a little longer than it should have. Pay Chris Jones. Get George Karlaftis. Build Creed Humphrey up in that offensive line. Still find pieces to make the run game work with Pacheco out. Bring back Kareem Hunt. Still find ways to make Travis Kelce successful, even though he looks old half the time. Pull in guys like Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Juju Smith-Schuster, who are now old or castaways or haven't been that great or have been hurt. And they find a way to get it done. And they build a defense around a coach who we know very well here in New York, who clearly is a superior defensive coach. And they're doing things the right way. They are building teams that we wish our teams built. They found a quarterback, and they focus on the things that are most important. Winning up front, winning on defense, trusting your quarterback to do the best thing at the best times. It's what he does, and it's what they do. So go ahead and complain about the refs. I know there's been some calls in their favor, but try to think of a team that's great that hasn't gotten some calls in their favor. It's called sports, people. It happens in every sport. It happens in every game, and it always happens to the teams chasing the top of the mountain. And this game here with the Chiefs and the Eagles is a rematch, which 9 times out of 10, we get excited for. We say, wow, a rematch in the Super Bowl? This is exciting. This is a big deal. This is a storyline. What's changed since the last time you saw each other in the Super Bowl? What's new? What's exciting? What's the same? What's a repeat story? But this time, because the Chiefs have been there so much, we're tired of it. And because it's the Eagles and everybody hates them if you're not an Eagles fan, we're mad. We think this sucks. We think the NFL is rigged. I mean, think about what you say out loud when you say it. The NFL is rigged. The referees are on the side of the Kansas City Chiefs, that big old market that really gets the country moving, the Kansas City Chiefs. That's what you think is happening? You think an organization with thousands of people who are employed, an organization with players who talk on podcasts constantly, with coaches who are interviewed every single day, with media members snooping around as much as possible, that this stuff wouldn't leak, that this wouldn't get out there? They're not smart enough to keep secrets like that. Like, really think about what you're saying when you are trying to claim that the NFL is rigged, that there are referees down there trying to make bang, bang calls when the game moves so fast with the best athletes in the world, and it's within inches of a first down, or within a fraction of a hold or not a hold, or a pass interference or not, a fumble or not, that they're thinking to themselves, ooh, how can I flip this call to make it work for Kansas City, the big bad market that's going to rule the NFL? That's what you think's happening. Because when you say it out loud and the deeper you get into it, the more ridiculous it is. Now, see, it maybe made some sense when it was the New England Patriots going from Boston, which is one of the bigger cities. And we pointed that out. And they got all the calls. And every dynasty that came before it, when it was the Cowboys, I'm sure it was before my time. I'm sure we complained about it then too. It is ridiculous, especially trying to pull down the people who are so talented, so successful, and so good at what they do. Because you can point to plays that maybe went in one way or another from the referee perspective. But then you can point to plays where the Chiefs were just flat out superior. On the defensive side, we all saw it. That blitz that Steve Spagnuolo dialed up on 4th down. Didn't call it all game. And there comes the corner blitz. 2 DBs actually on the blitz come in. I mean, the balls on this guy to call that play in that moment. against a quarterback in Josh Allen who can make you pay on the blitz. And damn it, he almost did. You think Dalton Kincaid was in with the referees? You think Dalton Kincaid was a guy in there who's trying to rig it for the Kansas City Chiefs? Come on. The Bills still had a chance to win. And if you're great, truly great, you overcome any obstacle that comes your way. Now, I think Josh Allen has a chance to be truly great. I think he's right there. I think he will get over that hump and will make it to a Super Bowl. I think the same for Lamar Jackson. And maybe I'm being ignorant because Patrick Mahomes' greatness might supersede that. And that's going to be the case until proven otherwise. But this culture that's been created around football, that when something doesn't go your way or your team's way, that it's rigged, it's stupid, it's boring. We've seen this before. Meanwhile, most of these people are the same people willing to call Lamar Jackson a fraud, Josh Allen a fraud. They can't get over the hump. They choke in the moment. Not many people saying about that Josh Allen, but you get the point. Same thing for Jared Goff and the Lions. Are they not similar to Kansas City? Would the Lions not be a type of team that you can build up and say, hey, this is America's team. This is going to be the year. Was there rigging in that way? Were we rigging it for Jaden Daniels because he's a rookie? Are we rigging it for the Eagles because the Eagles have a big fan base? Like, I don't get where it stops and starts with the NFL is rigged people. It's just for the Chiefs because that makes no sense to me. And to deny the actual talent and the success that they find on all these plays is crazy. Like on fourth down, when Patrick Mahomes operates a beautiful rollout to the right side, he finds a guy, up the right side, running back, peeling out to the side on the swing pass and picks up the first down. Or when he picks it up with his legs. Or on the second down play to basically ice the game, finding Samaje Perine, who you haven't heard from all day. You find him to catch a first down pass and seal the game. That's rigged. Come on. I'm just tired of it. And I think a lot of people are hypocrites saying that this sucks and they hate this and whatever. Because there's a difference between being upset that a team you didn't want to win and being a crybaby who says this is stupid and rigged. I wasn't rooting for the Chiefs, despite what the people in my TikTok comments think. I was rooting for the Bills. I made the pick on this podcast. I picked Bills plus 1.5. I was wrong. I was rooting for the Bills. I thought the Chiefs would fall. I think their time will come at some point. Clearly, it wasn't yet. I think the Eagles can win the Super Bowl. And then what? Was it rigged for the Eagles? Or if the Chiefs win, then you just have all the proof in your pudding, right? Is that right? Think about it. The amount of hands, the amount of minds, the amount of people who are involved in making an NFL game happen, the amount of players who just say whatever they want on podcasts and interviews and on Twitter and talk smack to each other and hate each other's guts and fight on the sideline. And it's coming down to people telling referees to do X or Y or Z. Catch me next time. Catch me next time. And let's not disrespect the greatness, the history chase that the Chiefs are on. Because that's what they're doing. They're trying to make history. Be the first team ever going for a three-peat. To me, that's impressive. And I wasn't really around. I mean, I was for the end of Jordan, but I was too young to remember, really. I think some of my first sports memories were his last NBA Finals and that year right after the Mets and Yankees played in the World Series. Some of my first memories, right? So I don't remember the discourse around it. I just remember being a little lad trying to enjoy some sports. But if I had to bet, if I were a betting man, which I am, I can bet that people were complaining about Michael Jordan. Were complaining about the Bulls. And some people hate Michael Jordan. I can bet that when Tiger Woods was on his run, there were people saying that Tiger Woods was overrated or he wasn't going to catch Jack, which he didn't. But I can guarantee that more people had their right minds and respected the greatness. They respected Michael Jordan, even if they hated him and wanted to see him lose. You said he's the best of all time. You said Tiger was the best of all time. And even though a lot of people did the same exact thing with Tom Brady, he reached a certain point where you hated him, you wanted to see him lose, but you respected him. And maybe it takes the three-peat for Patrick Mahomes to get to that place. Because right now, he's hated. Oh, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, so annoying, am I right? Oh, Andy Reid, he's a lovable goofball, so annoying, right? Patrick Mahomes, his wife's annoying. Ugh, so annoying, right? Maybe it takes a three-peat. Maybe it takes actual history to earn your respect. Well, he has mine. I don't watch a Patrick Mahomes game and walk away, whether I was rooting for them or against them, and say, that sucked. He sucked. I hate that. Because I'm going to go into the Super Bowl very excited, like I do every year, and you should too. And I might pick the Eagles. Who's to say? I might be wrong again. I'm not saying I'm rooting for the Chiefs, but as a wise man once said, real recognize real. They're historic and they're great, and they deserve everything they've gotten to this point. Subway Sports Talk, Pete Kennedy, right here on SST, on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. So let's talk about the New York Knicks quickly. I went on a hunt for the New York Knicks stats-wise, trying to figure something out because as I watched them, I really thought I was onto something. I had a hypothesis. And when you have a hypothesis, that doesn't mean it's correct, right? If you're familiar with scientific theory, you have a hypothesis and then you do experiments, you look up data to try to figure out if it's real or not. My hypothesis was the Knicks are better when Jalen Brunson is a facilitator and not just a scorer. It's something that didn't really flesh out in the data. There were games where Jalen Brunson had massive scoring outputs, where he also had massive assist outputs. He had over 6 games with 30 points and 10 assists. But I was trying to find if there was something to be said about when he didn't score and assisted and how the Knicks did, or how the Knicks did when he scored a lot and didn't assist. And it was tough to really devise anything from those numbers because he's been really good this entire year. He's only scored less than 20 points, less than 10 times. So that hypothesis hasn't proven anything. But as we know with sports, it's not just about stats. It's about eye test. It's about feel. It's about vibes. And I do feel confident and I do feel comfortable saying that the Knicks are better when the ball is moving. The Knicks are better when everybody's eating. So that led me to some different searches on the same hypothesis track. It wasn't anything derivative of Jalen Brunson's specific numbers about his scoring or his assisting, though they did seem to do decently well when he didn't score that much. But Monday night's game against the Grizzlies was kind of the perfect example. The Knicks go on a massive run. Brunson has a great third quarter, and the Knicks dominate. It's not close. By the time the fourth quarter comes around, there's no need for Brunson to do anything special. There's no need for Cat to do anything special. They already did it, and they're running away with the lead. So what happens? You see Campaign pop off. You see Precious Achiuwa pop off. Mikal Bridges was probably the best, most consistent scorer of the game. OG had a good game. And Miles McBride played great. So I went to the stats for lineups to see which lineups for the New York Knicks have performed the best so far. There's a lot of talk about the starters being Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Karl-Anthony Towns. They've played the most possessions in the league this year. Over 1,500 possessions with those 5 on the court. It's the most in the NBA by hundreds of possessions. And they're +5 for the year per 100 possessions, which is very good. It's very good. It's not top 5. It's not top 8. It's in that 12 to 15 range. It's a nice number, but they play so many minutes, it's hard to presume that they would be really, exuberantly high in that statistic. But that led me to look at the Knicks lineup stats as a whole. And because they don't play a ton of different people for long amounts of time, it was pretty easy to find who are the best lineups for the New York Knicks. So you take that 1,500 possessions for the main starters at +5, and that's very good. But what else is there? The Knicks have 7 other lineups that have played over 100 possessions. And with that being said, some do stand out. They have one lineup with 110 possessions. That's their best. They're +40 differential per 100 possessions, which is ridiculous. +40. Another one +36, +27, +22, and +9. Those are the 5 best lineups for the Knicks, right? That's obviously all better than the +5 of the starters, but again, all within 100 to 150 possessions for each of those. So the sample size is a little bit smaller. So the variance of really boosting those numbers obviously increases a great bit. But when you look around the league, 100 really is, to this point, at least the standard to be qualifying for a lineup, right? Enough of a sample size to see what they do, to see what they mean as a whole. The one constant in the Knicks' 5 best lineups is not Jalen Brunson. It's not Josh Hart. It's not even Karl-Anthony Towns or OG Anunoby. It's also not Mikal Bridges. It's Miles McBride. Miles McBride is on each of the Knicks' 5 best lineups, the best of which being Brunson, McBride, Hart, Anunoby, and Towns. The second being Cameron Payne, Miles McBride, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Karl-Anthony Towns. You go through, you see another one with Payne and McBride, another 2 with Brunson and McBride, but all of them include Miles McBride. And there's a few things that I think are simple to that. One of which, his defense is really freaking good, and he plays his ass off every time he's out on the court. And to this point, when Miles McBride is in the lineup, the Knicks are 25-12, which is about a 67, 68, 69% winning percentage. When Miles McBride is out, he missed 10 games this year. They're just 6-4. In that second stint, they went just 1-3 when he missed those games. Granted, we're against some harder competition. But Miles McBride is so important to this team for a couple of reasons. One, he is a guy who Tom Thibodeau trusts, that he can actually rest the likes of Jalen Brunson. He can actually rest Josh Hart or Mikal Bridges. And Miles McBride does a little bit of all of those things. A little bit of creation and facilitation, a little bit of shot making, a whole lot of defense, fighting for loose balls, helping out with rebounding. Miles McBride does it all. So yeah, he's not the most valuable player on this team. But to this point, I do believe he's the unsung hero. Because Miles McBride also inspires a type of basketball that the Knicks play when they're at their best. When the ball's moving, when he's in there, he knows he's not the main go-to guy. So when he touches it, he moves it. And he's not getting a ton of assists all the time, and that's okay. Because it's inspiring, winning basketball. And with that, I thought a lot about OG Anunoby and what he had to say after his scoring outburst over the last week. And he said how he had a concerted effort to be more aggressive on offense, that he felt like he wasn't getting enough touches all the time. And that, to me, led to this other part of the Miles McBride conversation and the strength and numbers conversation with this New York Knicks team. This idea that they play better when the ball bounces around and they move the ball a lot. And now it makes sense to me that Miles McBride is one of the guys who's a constant in all their best lineups. He comes in against second units, and he dominates. He plays with the starters, and he dominates. Miles McBride, not through gaudy stats and incredible numbers, but through the will of his effort and through the style in which he plays, has been a massive, massive positive to this team. And when he's not there, you can feel it. And that doesn't mean he's more valuable than Jalen Brunson or more valuable than Towns or Hart or even Bridges and Anunoby. But the idea that Tom Thibodeau needs to play more guys from the bench, I think, is a testament to what Miles McBride is doing. When us Knicks fans sit here and complain and we tweet, can we give some different guys some minutes here? Can we give some different people burn here? He's who we're talking about. He's the type of guy who we've seen develop, who has become a part of this rotation, who is ultra important to their success. Cameron Payne is starting to do the same thing. Precious Achiuwa on Monday night against Memphis was doing the same thing, playing with ultimate energy, doing all the little things right, and sparking this team to success. So in conclusion to this, did I find the statistic that proved that Jalen Brunson affects this team differently with the style of his play? I did not, because I don't think that's the case. I think the hypothesis that I had was wrong, to try to point out Jalen Brunson as part of this problem when the ball gets stuck and they don't move as much. I think it was wrong to assume that his output individually was going to tell the story of this entire Knicks team. And finding the Miles McBride piece of the statistics here, how he's a part of their 5 best lineups, I think told me more of what I need to know. This Knicks team is best when everybody eats. And when OG Anunoby has come out and said he wanted to be more aggressive, he felt like he needed more touches, and he got more touches. And the Knicks rip off 4 straight wins. And he has a great output. Mikal Bridges has great output. Josh Hart has great output. And then Cat and Brunson do what they do, which is consistently put up great numbers. That is the ticket for this team. A lot of people want to point to the minutes and say, hey, these guys are going to burn out. These guys are not going to last for the whole season into the playoffs, and I get that. But we also have to remember that this team is now built for the playoffs. And they have 6 guys with the ultimate trust. And I'm saying we're almost at 7 with Cam Payne and what he's been doing. The Knicks, realistically, don't need 2 or 3 more guys. The Knicks don't need to find success from Tyler Kolek and Precious Achiuwa and Jericho Sims and Landry Shamet. The Knicks need to find their 8. They need to have, say, 9 or 10 guys who Tibbs can trust in a moment, but they need to find their 8. And right now, with Mitchell Robinson on the horizon, if he gets traded or not, which I don't think he will, I think they have it. I think they have their 8 guys. And that doesn't mean in a playoff series, it'll be the same 7 or the same 8 every night. But we do know it'll be the same 6. Brunson, Bridges, Hart, Anunoby, Towns, 5. McBride, 6. Ultimate 6-man for this team. And then you sprinkle in some Campaign, you sprinkle in some Landry Shamet, you sprinkle in some Precious. Hopefully you get to sprinkle in Mitch. And I think the ingredients that we have teetered about this entire season with where they can find success and how they find their success, it's starting to come together. The stew is starting to boil up just right because the ingredients are there and they've always been there. And it's taken a little bit longer for us to actually get to the point of understanding how the ingredients work together. But to me, it's very simple. This team plays their best ball when everybody eats. They play their best ball when they're grinding on defense. 2 simple things. It's not about Cat's shooting numbers specifically. It's not about if Brunson scores 30. It's not about if Hart gets a triple-double. It is about the collective. We thought last year when they truly had strength in numbers, where they had a great bench and that was their strength, that this was going to be different and it was going to be all about the stars. It's still about the stars, but it's about how the stars interact with the rest. It's still about strength in numbers. Their numbers may not be 9, 10 deep, but it is 6, 7 deep, looking at 8 or 9. And that is the ticket to beating the Celtics, to beating the Cavs. Having people who can come in off the bench, create a spark, create positive output, and do it on a relatively consistent basis. And that's been Miles McBride. So with the Knicks right now, the energy's high. They've won a handful of great games. They still have a tough schedule coming up throughout the rest of the year. I believe they have one of the hardest, if not the hardest schedule remaining across the NBA. They got Denver, Lakers, Houston, their next 3. All of them are not easy outs. Denver at home, Lakers at home, Houston at home. I'd like to see them win 3. They've played well against Denver. But if you lose 1, you'll live. Then they have Toronto. That has to be a win. And then these 2 games, I'll say 3 games, in early mid-February are going to feel big. They get Boston at home and Indiana at Indiana. The Pacers have been playing a lot better basketball lately. Tyrese Halliburton is starting to heat up. Their team is getting healthy. Their lineup is fully intact. They've won 8 out of 10. The Celtics are the Celtics. Can't look forward if you are the Knicks, but us as fans, we can look forward. I'd like to see them continue to pop that ball around, continue to find different players at the top of their scoring chart every game. Because over the last 4 wins, a different Knick has led them in points in each game. Brunson, 34 against Atlanta. Towns, 25 against Brooklyn. Anunoby, 33 against Sacramento. and Bridges 28 against Memphis. I'd like to see that continue. I like to see everybody eat. That's the ticket. Because when you play Boston and you see Derek White hit threes, Porzingis get hot, all while Tatum and Brown do their thing, that's their ticket. And any real Celtics fan will tell you that it wasn't just Tatum and Brown in the playoffs. In fact, we all know it wasn't just Tatum. Guy didn't even win the MVP for the finals. It came to Tatum and Brown and Derek White and Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis. That was their victory, having all of those guys play well. The Cavaliers right now, they're not built off Donovan Mitchell averaging 36 points a game. They're built off Mobley's best offensive season. They're built off Jarrett Allen being a beast, Darius Garland being a master point guard right now, and obviously Donovan Mitchell as well. So that's the ticket, and I'd like to see that continue. Everybody needs to eat on the New York Knicks. That's all we got. Subway Sports Talk, pretty quick one for y'all today on Subway Sports Talk, Apple Podcast app, Spotify, YouTube, social media, at Subway Sports Talk. I appreciate y'all, really do. We're trying to put out some great content for you guys. I'm traveling this week on Wednesday. I'll actually be in Colorado while the Knicks play Denver in New York. So I'll be watching. I'll be tapped in. But no more podcasts from me this week, but plenty of stuff on social. So please follow us at Subway Sports Talk. Drop a comment. Hit me in the DMs. Text me. Appreciate everybody who ever reaches out and interacts with Subway Sports Talk in any way that you see fit. Not everybody's a commenter. I get it. Hit me with a DM. Shoot me a text. Appreciate y'all. Twitter as well. I didn't mention Twitter before, so that too. But that's all we got. Subway Sports Talk. We'll talk to you soon. We'll probably talk to you next week. We'll do a massive blowout on Super Bowl props, continue to talk hoops, and obviously if any baseball news breaks, we'll talk some baseball as well. Also, last thing, started a new show with my guy Al Cintron and Anthony Gallo from The Fan. It's called T.O. Al and Friends. It's on Uptown Sports TV on YouTube, live every Thursday night. And now I will not be part of the episode this Thursday because I'll be traveling, but I'll be back every Thursday on Uptown Sports TV with T.O. Al and Anthony Gallo, T.O. Al and Friends. Great, great fun time. Live Thursday nights at 8. You could also watch the replays on YouTube. So that's all we got. Subway Sports Talk. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.